Chris, and this is News Recap. Now fluff, straight to the point.
Tyler Robinson texted his roommate right after killing Charlie Kirk. A man deliberately crashed his car into FBI building in Pittsburgh. FBI Director Kash Patel was questioned about the Epstein's files. A body found last week in the trunk of a Tesla has been identified.
Tyler Robinson has been charged with aggravated murder in the killing of conservative activist Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University. Robinson appeared in court on Tuesday via video from jail wearing a green anti-suicide vest. He confirmed his name but stayed expressionless as the judge listed his charges, which also include felony discharge of a firearm, obstruction of justice, and witness tampering. Prosecutors plan to seek the death penalty.
On September 10th, 2025, the roommate received a text message from Robinson which said, "Drop what you're doing, look under my keyboard." The roommate looked under the keyboard and found a note that stated, quote, "I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it." After reading the note, the roommate responded, "What? You're joking, right?" Robinson, "I am still okay, my love, but am stuck in Orem for a little while longer yet. Shouldn't be long until I can come home, but I gotta grab my rifle still. To be honest, I had hoped to keep this secret till I died of old age. I am sorry to involve you."
Court documents show Robinson told his roommate and family he targeted Kirk because he believed Kirk spread too much hate. Investigators also found bullet casings engraved with messages, some referencing anti-fascist slogans and internet memes. The next hearing is scheduled for September 29th, and Robinson will remain in custody without bail. In the meantime, Minnesota voters chose a Democrat on Tuesday to fill the state House seat once held by Melissa Hortman, the Democratic speaker who was assassinated alongside her husband and family dog in June. XP Lee defeated Republican Ruth Bittner in a special election in the northwest suburbs of the Twin Cities. The win restores a 67-67 tie in the Minnesota House and gives Democrats more influence as the legislature prepares a special session on gun issues. Democrats praised Lee while mourning Hortman. The day before, in the Oval Office, President Donald Trump was asked why he did not order flags lowered to half-staff for Melissa Hortman, as he had for Charlie Kirk. Trump said he was not familiar with the case, asking, quote, "The who?" He later added that if the governor of Minnesota had requested it, he would have lowered the flags. An air traffic controller in New York skies on Tuesday had to repeatedly warn a Spirit Airlines flight to move out of Air Force One's path. The Spirit jet was headed from Fort Lauderdale to Boston. Air Force One was carrying President Donald Trump to the United Kingdom. According to live ATC audio, the controller told the Spirit pilot again and again to turn 20 degrees. Eventually, the instructions got sharper, quote, "Pay attention, Spirit 1300, turn 20 degrees right immediately. I'm sure you can see who it is," end quote. At one point, the controller even added, "I got to talk to you twice every time. Get off the iPad." In the end, the planes did maintain the required separation. That means there was no technical danger. But the audio showed how urgent the controller was about keeping the flight away. Spirit Airlines said the plane followed procedures, landed safely in Boston, and emphasized that safety was always their top priority. A Swiss International Airlines plane heading to Zurich stopped during takeoff from Boston after smoke and loud noise came from one of the engines. Flight 55 was on the runway at Boston Logan Airport around 6:25 p.m. on Tuesday when the crew reported engine problems. Video shows the plane speeding down the runway before flames and smoke came from its right engine. The plane slowed and stopped as first responders ran to the scene. All landing gear stayed on the ground. No one was hurt. The plane was later moved off the runway. Flight tracking shows that the flight left Boston again just before 11 p.m., though it's unclear if it was the same plane. Swiss International Airlines did not comment. The president, in the meantime, did make it to the United Kingdom safely, and his arrival was nothing short of royal. On Wednesday, President Donald Trump traveled to Windsor Castle to meet with King Charles III. Trump is now the first elected political leader in modern times to be hosted for two state visits by a British monarch. His first was in 2019 with the late Queen Elizabeth II. The president and First Lady, Melania Trump, were greeted in the walled garden by Prince William and Princess Kate. They then joined King Charles for a carriage ride to Windsor Castle, where a ceremonial reception was held. On Thursday, Trump will meet British Prime Minister Keir Starmer at Chequers, the Prime Minister country residence. The White House says the visit highlights the deep ties between the United States and the United Kingdom. And while President Donald Trump received a royal welcome at Windsor Castle, on Wednesday, hundreds of demonstrators gathered in London to protest his historic second state visit to the UK. Protesters held signs saying "No to racism, no to Trump, Orange Lives Matter, and Make America Hate Again." The Metropolitan Police were getting ready for up to 50 protest groups to march through the streets toward Parliament. More than 1,600 officers were on duty to keep order. The day before, images of President Trump and Jeffrey Epstein were projected onto the walls of Windsor Castle. The pictures included Trump with Epstein and his 2023 mugshot. 4 people were arrested for suspicious communications, according to Thames Valley Police. And earlier today, FBI Director Kash Patel faced questions in his second day of congressional hearings about why thousands of documents on Jeffrey Epstein remain sealed. Patel said he cannot release the files because of court orders, but judges who reviewed the case said the recent orders only applied to a small set of grand jury materials, a few dozen pages of hearsay, and did not block the release of the FBI's full records. One judge who oversaw Epstein's criminal case before his 2019 suicide wrote that the government had the power to release the files. The judge also said the Trump administration's recent effort to release limited materials appeared to distract from the vast amount of records the FBI holds. A lawmaker didn't hold back, saying, "You are hiding the Epstein files. You are part of the cover-up," while Patel also cited other sealed and protective orders as reasons not to release the files, leaving the public without access to the FBI's complete records on Epstein and Maxwell. The Federal Reserve has taken its first step this year to make borrowing cheaper. On Wednesday, the central bank cut its benchmark interest rate by 1/4 percentage point. The move comes after months of slowing job growth, and many businesses, investors, and households have been waiting for it. A lower interest rate makes loans and mortgages cheaper, encouraging people to spend and companies to hire more workers. The Fed's decisions also comes amid rising political pressure. President Trump and his allies have pushed for bigger rate cuts, while the Fed must balance encouraging the economy with controlling inflation. The federal funds rate now stands between 4 and 4.25%, meaning borrowing costs are still higher than before the pandemic, but slightly lower than they were in recent months. The Fed's policymakers also signaled that more rate cuts could come later this year if job growth continues to slow, but cheaper loans also carry risks. More spending could push prices higher, and too much borrowing can make the economy vulnerable. Early Wednesday morning, a man drove a car into the security gate at the Federal Bureau of Investigation building in Pittsburgh. After crushing the car, He took an American flag from the back seat and threw it over the gate before driving away. Authorities are now searching for him. The crash happened around 2:40 a.m. A bomb squad was called to the scene, but no explosives were found. Christopher Giordano, assistant special agent in charge of the FBI in Pittsburgh, said officials view this as a deliberate attack on the FBI. He added that no one was hurt and that investigators will use all legal tools available to find, arrest, and prosecute the man. The agent also confirmed that the man is a former member of the military and that the FBI had seen him before. He had visited the FBI field office a few weeks earlier to make a complaint that did not make any sense. Authorities also said the car had a message written on one of the windows, but they did not provide the details yet. Voters in Missouri are speaking out as Republicans redraw congressional district maps ahead of the 2026 elections. Critics say the changes could weaken the political power of Black and brown communities in Kansas City and across the state. Democrats and civil rights advocates warn that the new maps are designed to help Republicans win more seats, a practice known as gerrymandering.
What Republicans are doing now in the state of Missouri is they're taking me back to a time when I, or people that look like me, would not have an opportunity because they wouldn't have a voice. I'm very disappointed, while I'm not surprised that there would be a mechanism that is being used to deprive me from my voice as a citizen of this country.
Civil rights leaders say this redistricting could roll back decades of progress, leaving minority communities with less representation in Congress and less influence over policies that affect their lives. A California judge has denied a new trial for Eric and Lyle Menendez. The brothers have spent decades in prison for killing their parents in 1989 at the Beverly Hills home. The ruling comes after the brothers filed a petition in May 2023 claiming new evidence might prove they were abused by their father, Jose Menendez. The evidence included a letter from Eric Menendez to his cousin in 1988 and a statement from Roy Rosello about abuse in the early 80s. The judge ruled the evidence is not strong enough to give a reasonable juror doubt. He said it doesn't change the fact that the brothers planned and carried out the killings. Parole commissioners also recently denied Lyle and Eric Menendez parole. Officials cited ongoing dishonesty and rule breaking, saying both still pose a risk to public safety. Another two brothers have pleaded guilty in North Carolina to charges connected to the killing of a sheriff's deputy 3 years ago. Deputy Ned Byrd, who was a K-9 officer with the Sheriff's Department, was shot on August 11, 2022. He was on patrol in a rural area when he saw a pickup truck parked next to a fence. Byrd pulled his vehicle close to the truck. Seconds later, 6 gunshots rang out. Deputy Byrd was hit 4 times. 3 bullets struck the back of his head.
That was all I had left, and you took him from me. Who are you to take a life? Who are you to take the kindest person you would have ever met? You have stolen my happiness. You have stolen my joy.
Authorities later found the brothers in separate vehicles in western North Carolina. Older Marine Sotelo is 28 years old. He admitted to first-degree murder in the shooting death of 48-year-old Deputy Byrd. His older brother, Arturo Marine Sotelo, 32, pleaded guilty to being an accessory after the fact. Superior Court Judge Graham Shirley sentenced older Marine Sotelo to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Arturo Marine Sotelo was sentenced to between 8 and 10 years in prison. A body found last week in a Tesla registered to singer David has now been identified. Authorities say the remains belong to 15-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez, who went missing in Riverside County in April 2024. The car had been parked in the Hollywood Hills for more than a month before workers at a tow yard reported a strong odor. Police found the body in a bag inside the Tesla's front trunk. David, whose real name is David Byrd, is cooperating with authorities. The cause of death has not yet been released, and the investigation is ongoing. California health officials are warning about a parasitic fly called the New World Screwworm. The fly can lay eggs in the flesh of animals and sometimes people, causing painful wounds. The fly has spread from Panama into southern Mexico. Over 111,000 animals and more than 700 people have been infested there, with 6 deaths. A traveler from El Salvador to Maryland was also found with the fly, though it did not spread in the area. The USDA says the fly is a serious threat to U.S. livestock and food supply. It was eradicated in the U.S. in the 60s using sterile male flies. New facilities in Texas and Central America will release sterile flies to prevent the pest from spreading. People should keep wounds covered, use insect repelling, and wear long sleeves and pants in areas where the fly is found. Risk to humans in the U.S. is low, but infestation can still happen. And that is all for now. The top stories of the day. No fluff, straight to the point. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and drop a comment. I'm Kat Pokras. See you next time.